Today, our focus, health and nutrition. I mean, I just feel like, it's summertime. It is the end of the 6 month of the year, basically meaning that we are halfway through this year. Yeah, basically halfway through the year. I was gonna say more than half then, but half then, almost exactly halfway through the year. So, whatever goals you had for yourself for the summer. Well, it's too late to get your summer body. It's already summer, but you should have started already. But just for the rest of the year, um, just things we need to focus on. I mean, this is just in general too, like just, things that we need. And I feel like we all know, all jokes aside, things that we need to do to and work on as far as our health and our nutrition. But just want to, just look at, what God said about these things. So let's just take a look at it. And this is from Genesis 1:29. And it said, and God said, behold, I've given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So going back, looking through the verse here, once again, Genesis 1:29, and this is what God said, I've given you every herb. Well, we know that herbs are basically leaves or even could be roots of plants, right? But they're usually used for to make the food savory, or even for their smell, like the aroma of them, or even for medicine. Okay, so basically to take care of us, to nourish us, to bring us back to health, to maybe clear out maybe something that entered your body that is not benefiting you, is not serving you well. So I've given you every herb bearing seed. So these herbs are supposed to reproduce after their own kind. Okay, they have seeds. So which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat or for food. Okay, not for meat as we think of meat today. Coming from an animal, but the fruit of the tree is your food. That is your meat. That is what you are supposed to partake of. So I just felt like this was, like our foundation. This is giving us our foundation. This is our focus scripture for today. All right. So herbs from the trees, fruits from the trees, for our nourishment. That's for our food. All right. So then here we have this verse is from Genesis chapter 3. This is verse 3, if I remember correctly. So now the serpent was more crafty, subtle, skilled in deceit than any living creature of the field which the Lord God had made. And the serpent Satan said to the woman, can it really be that God has said, you shall now eat from every tree of the garden? Wanted to focus on this verse because this is the state of our world today. Like, it is unlawful, like, for me to say that anything, like if I had some herbs and I could say, oh, this herb heals this herb heals that, I would need proof. I would need not even proof, but I would need like documentation from the government, approval from the government to be able to say those things. Okay, so this is what I mean by the serpent was more crafty. He's subtle, skilled in deceit. Okay, because we just saw the verse where it said, he gave us herbs. Okay, and the fruit, and those things are our food. And we look at everything else as being our food, except those things that God made. And then here, and even like it says, he was more crafty. So I'm gonna get into some other scriptures too, but I just want to, to point these things out to us so that we are, aware, or so we can follow along. And then here the serpent is saying to the woman, can it really be that God said, you shall now eat from any tree of the garden? Well, we just saw, hopefully, let me see. Did we see that? Well, it says here that every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food. Well, there we have it. He already said it. And then in the other verse, he said, that dang, well, I've been thinking of that verse. It was just coming to me now. I can't think of it, but of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. That verse right there. Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, except for this one certain tree. Don't eat from that tree. Right? So here the serpent is saying to her, shall you not eat from any tree of the garden? Oh, that's very, subtle. He's sneaking in that one word, that difference there. Not eat of any tree of the garden. Right? So he's very skilled in deceit. Let's take a look at that, because like I'm making this comparison to show you like basically how, what God's intention was, and then, basically how we are living today and how they're so different. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3 and 4. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. All right, so here I'm using the principle. So it says, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. So gospel being the good news. Okay, it is hidden from or to those that are lost. So basically those that aren't aware of the things of the way and they should go. All right. So the good news is hidden from those that don't, that aren't aware of the way that they should go. So still talking about health and nutrition. Okay. If I don't know, that God gave me these things, for my healing, for my food, for my nourishment, then I'm the one that this is speaking about in this sense. That good news that God gave me, because he looked at everything he made and said it was good. So that good news is hidden from me. Okay. And how is it? How do I know that? What's my proof for that? Well, people don't even eat these things at all. Like I think I've said it before. I had kids that didn't even know how to peel an orange. And these weren't little kids, weren't the 5 and 6 year olds. These were the 9 and 10 year olds. So that tells me that the fruit is not a regular part of their diet. Okay, if you don't even know how to peel an orange. And then the number of bananas, that we collect in the cafeterias, because the kids just don't eat the fruit, but they have so much other stuff. All the candy, all the chips, and it's not just the regular size bag of chips, it's the big bag of chips. All the time. I mean, sometimes it's even the family size bag of chips. It may take them a couple of days to eat them, but they still eating those chips. Okay, no fruit, no vegetables, all that stuff goes in the trash as if, it's not food. But that is exactly, the food that they need. So that good news, that good thing, that God looked at and said, is good. This is, these are your herbs for your healing. This is your food for your just overall nourishment. Okay, it's hidden. It's hidden now, to those that are lost, that don't know, that aren't aware. So in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not. I'm just looking at, like I said, I'm using these in principle. So in principle, the God of this world, rulers, okay, principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places, that is exactly what has happened. Even me, having gone through that 3-day fast and still been continuing on, just cutting out all of the processed foods since then. In my mind, I'm battling still. I've been battling still, just thinking and saying to myself, like, man, I can't have no Coke Zero. Sherry bought me all those chili cheese Fritos. said those were supposed to last me for the summer. And I'm like, it's like I can taste those chili cheese Fritos. So I know that there is something, in those things that draws me back to them, because I really want chili cheese Fritos all the time. Literally all the time, all day, all night. It's like I have a dream about, a fantasy about just sitting down, eating a bag of chili cheese Fritos. But it is real. It's really real. And I know that those aren't food. That is not food. It's not. It's processed to the point where it's not actual food. Okay, those things there's no nutritional value in that at all. Yet my body craves it. And why is that? It's because they've created a society of addicts. They created a society of addicts, basically for sugar and for salt. Those things basically trick your brain into not stopping eating or continuing to eat. Okay, so they shut off mechanism in your brain that says, stop eating. So you just continue to eat and eat and eat. And then, so with that, the addiction continues to grow because now your brain is not shutting off. So you become chemically dependent on those foods that are mostly what? Chemicals. Okay. It's not live food. Okay. There's no nutritional value, as I've said. There's no healing properties to it. There's no part that's going to make you thrive in life. It's basically taking you to the next level, which is, puts you on a bunch of different medications. That's the next level. Okay. And then the medications don't heal. Okay. They don't heal you. It just leads you to the next medication. So, and then here, with that, so basically you creating this cycle of sickness, of, unhealthiness or lack of wellness. Okay. And then it says, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. So if I am dulling my spiritual sensitivity even, okay, because of the lack of life-giving food that I am feeding myself, there's no light shining through me.